Welcome to Signs of Life, exploring survival of consciousness. Brought to you by Forever Family Foundation. On the web at foreverfamilyfoundation.org.
I call your name. The echo is haunting. The echo is always the same. I call your name. The echo is haunting. An echo can never be changed. So I call your name. Your name.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Medium Insights Hour, brought to you by the Forever Family Foundations and Signs of Life Radio. We gather here every month to explore the mindsets of accomplished mediums, just to see how they're, how they work and how they get their information, and maybe we can learn something, pick some stuff up from that. My name's Roman Karpishka. I'm your host tonight, every second Thursday of the month. And I had the honor and privilege of conversing and welcoming back with Gina Simone. She's a very gifted medium. She's a certified medium with the Forever Family Foundation, and she's felt the presence of spirit since the age of 11 and has been practicing mediumship for at least 15, 16 years. As is often the case, she's dismissed her ability at the beginning because she was, unable to process what was happening. But after significant study and mentorship, she embraced her abilities and blossomed into the wonderful medium she is today. In addition to connecting to spirit messages, she's also a teacher. She teaches her clients how to connect on their own with their loved ones. She is the author of this book called Whispers of Love, Spirit Messages from Heartbreak to Hope. And her website is GinaSimoneMedium.com. So www.GinaSimoneMedium.com. Our show tonight, like always, is going to be commercial free. And so no interruptions. Sit back, put your feet up, curl up with a nice blanket, pet a loved one, have a drink on us. Let us still stimulate your intellect for the next hour or so. Before we introduce Gina, by the way, I just want to make a few announcements that one, that tonight's show, it's, as always, conducted for research and informational purposes. So your questions are more than welcome, but please keep in mind that Gina will not be performing any readings tonight. So what we've been doing for the many, many shows already is we've been, holding some questions from Forever Family Foundation members, and I've been, coming up with my own questions, and we put them all together in this big smorgasbord, and, we just get a conversation like that. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to call. It's 1-888-627-6008. That's 888-627-6008. So with all that being said, welcome back to the show, Gina.
Thank you, Roman. Great to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, the last time we spoke, I think it was last October. How have you been since then?
Wow. Well, it's been a really busy year, as I'm sure it's been for everyone else, getting back to normal, right? Getting
back to normal. So things are getting back to normal for you in your practice after this COVID fiasco?
Well, I'll tell you, my practice really didn't suffer that much during COVID because now I was able to do readings via Zoom. People can do it from the comfort of their own home. But I've noticed that there's been a lot of desire to learn about survival of consciousness. And I think that's really great that people are opening up to it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, especially like people have become Zoom experts, and they become there's a lot of different platforms, not only Zoom, but there's Google Meet, and there's Teams, and everybody's just used to now the video thing, and it's becoming a lot better. And like you said, from the comfort of their own home, you can't beat that.
No, you absolutely can't.
And it doesn't affect the reading at all, does it?
No, because then a lot of people get confused with that. They say, well, no, I have to have my reading in person. Most people don't understand that energy is energy. Whether you're in the room with someone, you're on the phone, or on Zoom, energy is always connecting. Energy never dies. It's just always changing forms. So it doesn't really matter how the medium is connecting. Mediums can even connect through email. if they want to do readings. I know that quite a few mediums personally that do that type of work. It's just a question of what does the medium feel most comfortable with. I love to see people. So Zoom or in person is really great for me. But it does not matter how you're using, what type of electronic you're using. Yep. Energy is energy, and the medium is always going to connect with spirit.
It's not only, I mean, it's crazy that you can be giving a reading to somebody on the other side of the earth, like 15,000 miles away, you know, and it doesn't affect it at all. That's crazy to think about that. But like you said, energy is energy. And I mean, we don't even know anything about it, really. We haven't tapped into it. Like the ether that a lot of mediums talk about, where everything that's ever happened is stored in the ether. That's like the theory or something like that. And that could be kind of the energy you're talking about, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do your clients, when do they come prepared, like for the reading? Like what do you recommend for them to, let's say you're going to do a reading and you've been in contact. Okay, we're going to have the reading on Thursday at 3:00. And you contact your client. What do you tell them? Like, do you give them any tips to, you know, when they show up?
Yeah. So a lot of clients will ask, is there anything that I need to do to prepare for the reading? And basically what I say to them is let spirit do the work and let me be the channel. However, it would be helpful if the person is open to allowing communication to come through rather than sticking their heels in the ground and saying, prove it to me, show me. So I always say, be open as you can. And if you just want to say a little prayer or take a couple of deep breaths before the reading, that just helps your energy and vibration to increase. And then that allows spirit to connect even deeper. But I always say, don't feed the medium. Let the incarnate, let the soul on the other side bring through their validations and let the medium pick up on it.
Right. And that's probably mostly what you do is like validations, right? Because that's what people are really looking for, that survival of consciousness after death, that validation that, yes, they're still there. You just can't see it.
Yeah. So at Forever Family, we call it evidential mediumship, and evidential meaning you're giving evidence of characteristics of personality, how the person looks, their physical attributes. You're giving memories. Perhaps even validating something that the individual just did the other day, and spirit saying, hey, I know about that because I was standing there right beside you.
That's crazy. I mean, it's good.
It is crazy. And Roman, I will tell you, there are so many times that I am communicating through spirit, and the things that they say, I sometimes drop my own jaw because I'm like, how in the world did spirit get that information to me? Like, that's crazy. And I end up enjoying the reading just as much as the client does because I'm always overwhelmed as to how specific and accurate spirit can be to validate that they're still a part of that person, that loved one's life.
So how do you get the messages? Do you see images? Do you hear things? Are you clairaudient, clairsentient, a bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything. So for those who don't understand what the clairs are, for me, I see in my mind's eye, just as if I asked you right now to envision a red apple. Right away, you're going to see a red apple in your mind. Well, some people don't have a stem on the red apple. Some people have a leaf attached to it. So everyone is going to envision it the way that they're accustomed to. So I see things, I hear things, I feel them. And then the worst part, the worst one that I just sometimes are like, I don't know if I trust this. It's called claircognizance, which is all knowing. And that one is the one, it's like, how did I know that?
So it's just like an idea that pops in your head kind of thing?
It just, I'm not seeing it. I'm not hearing it. I just know it. I can't even explain it to you, but spirit is using the knowing, the feeling, the hearing, the sensing. They're using all of those human senses that we have in order to give us those messages to be able to relay that to the client.
Do you think anybody can become a medium if they practice at it, or is it like kind of a gift? You know, like not everybody can be a musician. Some people are tone deaf.
I love to sing, but I cannot carry a note to save my life. It doesn't
Okay.
matter how many singing lessons I would take. I'm not meant to be a singer in this life.
Mm-hmm.
So, do a lot of people have intuitive ability and are able to connect to some level? I believe so. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone supposed to be a medium? No.
Okay.
It's
Very
a gift.
interesting.
It's a gift. Even like an artist, there are a lot of people that I know that they draw magnificently, but they don't want to be an artist for their living. They just want to do it for fun.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And there's definitely levels of like, I'm a musician, right? So I practice hard at my trade, and and then here comes somebody that barely practices that is 10 times better than me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just because they are gifted. So I can see that with mediumship as well,
Yeah, everyone is gifted on a different level.
On a different thing, yeah.
And that's also something that I know a lot of people will maybe compare one medium to another, and that would be unfair. That would be like comparing a Picasso to a Monet. Their product, their gift is completely different. You can't compare one with the other. And the same thing with mediums. Each medium's gift is completely different. So there should be no comparison.
Yeah. I mean, that's the scientific method, right? Comparing this, compare this to that. And, does this answer equal that answer? And I mean, it'll never get there with the scientific method, because that's materialism. That's materialistic things that you can, see, touch, and feel. And I'm not putting science down. Science is wonderful, because you and me are talking right now from different parts of the country because of science, right? And people figured out computers and this and that. So there's something to be said about it, but there's other things that it just can't touch. And I think there's a little bit of arrogance in the science right now that, hey, this is all woo and stuff like that, because we can't see it, we can't prove it, and we can't test it, so it can't exist, right? So
yeah, it can't be quantified, and anything that can't be quantified cannot exist.
Right. So I think, well, I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think I think it's changing. I think there's a consciousness shift in the world. I think with especially with social media and being able to connect and share ideas a lot easier than we were able to like 30, 40 years ago. It's coming more to the forefront, but it's not even close to being where it needs to be right now. But I think it's on its way. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. And the fact that we are able to connect with clients all over the world, who may not have maybe a medium in town or in their city, but can connect with someone, 3,000 miles away, and the medium still be able to validate information about that person's loved one, bringing that person a sense of peace. We couldn't have done that 20 years ago.
Right. Absolutely. It's crazy good. And who knows what's going to happen,
Right.
Technology's good and technology's bad too, because, I'm glad when I grew up, there wasn't this technology. I'm not stuck staring on a phone screen. I'm not playing video games. I was outside getting bruises on, go-karts that I made, stuff like that. So there's and I'm trying to instill that in my kids as much as possible. But, that's a completely different topic. So in your experience as a medium, what do you like? What are things that our deceased loved ones enjoy the most in the spirit world, or things that they really like doing? What do they like about it?
In the spirit world?
Yeah.
What they describe is the freedom from any type of suffering or pain. Joy, love is everywhere. And the other thing that they also describe is a telepathic ability to communicate with one another. So what we consider to be voice in order to communicate and ears in order to listen, there it's more of an all-knowing, and they're all able to translate and telepathically communicate with one another. But it's just the joy and the peace and the beauty, which in many instances, they even say over and over again, there are no human words to describe the magnificence of where they are.
Right. And I heard that about like colors and anything that they have, anything that they experience is on a much bigger scale, a much more.
It's on steroids. It's on steroids.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not in a rush to get there, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I guess, I guess
I
that's
can't
the
wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in a rush because I still do not like the transition process and everything that's associated with it. This whole thing about death, it's got this awful stigma that, that it's the end. And, most people do not believe in the afterlife, unfortunately, or a lot of people don't. And for them, it's just the end. And it's a very sad thing for those kind of people. Don't you agree?
Yes. And also when spirit describes their passing, it's always with the lightest touch. Even when they're about to die in a traumatic accident, they never describe it as, I felt my head hit the windshield or I felt the car rolling over. They always describe it as almost as if their soul was vacuumed out of their body milliseconds before impact.
Right.
And here they are watching it from above. They're not feeling it. They're not feeling the pain. And I always love that when they describe that, because we, as you said before, have this negative connotation with death, and it must be painful and we must be suffering. And maybe we cross over and we're lost and we don't know where our loved ones are. That's the farthest thing from the truth.
Mm-hmm. What about somebody's lying in hospice care, unconscious right before before they die. They're kind of at the end of the rope there. Do they know, and you go and visit them, do they know you're there? Do they feel your presence? Do they know you're there? Because they haven't transitioned yet, but they're just about to, or, a couple of days away, but unconscious. Let's say somebody that has advanced Alzheimer's or something like that. What happens in that situation? Are they somehow aware of what's happening? Or they only become aware when they cross over? No,
so they're very alert to their surroundings and what's happening. But at the same time, and I explain this in my book, there's this silver string tethering them from the human existence into the soul consciousness. So they're in both worlds, which is why they can validate who was waiting for them on the other side, even though they're still technically here on Earth and they haven't crossed. They can validate who was waiting for them. They can also validate who was in the room with them and what was happening, and who was touching their hand and who had their hands by the loved one's feet. And they're able to validate the here and now, and they're able to validate what is going on the other side waiting for them, which I think is beautiful.
That is really cool. I wish we could, prove it scientifically one day. That would be amazing.
Right. It would. It really would. But for now, to bring that peace to the individual suffering, to be able to let them know that their loved one is in a much better place, a much, much better place than we are here on Earth. Earth is kind of the suffering planet. How do we learn? We learn through suffering, right? We don't learn when things are going great. On the other side, there is no suffering. So all there is the expansiveness of love, the expansiveness of telepathic communication, of being able to teleport ourselves wherever we want in the galaxy. We don't have those abilities here. So it's this life. Yeah, this life that we're living is very minuscule compared to what the soul experiences on the other side.
Yep, this is the school of hard knocks. That's for sure.
And it is.
Yep, and we're very brave souls. I believe we're very brave souls to take on this incarnation. Probably there was an advertisement. Hey, you want to learn fast? You want to go through it? Boom, sign up. There you go, done.
There are a lot of times that things will happen in my life, and I'm thinking, what line was I standing on to sign up for this? Because this is nuts. And this is painful, and this hurts.
I know there's so much heartache. There's when you feel the heart, you have low lows, but also you can have immense joy here too.
Yes, absolutely.
So, because it just really contrasts with the lows, that kind of thing.
And that's the other message that Spirit loves to share with their loved ones in a reading. It's embrace the joy that is here, embrace the love, rather than continuing an argument with your sister who you haven't spoken to in years. Embrace that person. Open up the lines of communication. Enjoy your world, because honestly, we're running around like rats, going from work, taking care of family, responsibilities, mortgage, and we're never really in the moment. Whereas on the other side, all that exists is the moment. There's no future, there's no past. It's just the moment. And there's such freedom in that. Just think about if we stayed in every moment, how free we would feel, that we're not worrying about what happened in the past and we're not worrying what's going to happen in the future or not happen. We're just staying in the moment. Think how peaceful and wonderful life would be if we would
there's probably no ego on the other side. It's the ego. The ego is your worst enemy. I mean, ego is flight or fight, and I can see why it's there, because, if a bear's chasing you in the woods, you're going to run, right? And that's the ego just taking over every instinct of your body. But when you're sitting in a classroom or whatever, or doing something or trying to accomplish something, the ego can start interfering by saying, "Nah, you're not good enough to do this," or whatever.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's that stupid voice in your head. So it's really hard to tame that. And
I also love when spirit will validate something that their loved one is trying to accomplish here on earth. And the client is just like staring at me like, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, spirit is telling me this, and they're validating. They know that the struggles that you're going through and the fear that you have, and they're just saying, just let go and take the plunge. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to be fine. And I love that, because that gives the individual a little bit more incentive of, wow, my loved one really is watching out over me, and they're telling me that I'm going to be okay. So why not take that leap of faith and do the very thing that I've always wanted to do?
That is so interesting. Wow. You know what? We got a caller. We got Chelsea from California on line 2. So let's, why don't we take a caller?
Okay.
All right, Chelsea, are you there?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelsey.
Hi. Thank you. I have a question.
Go for it.
So I've heard from other mediums that sometimes spirit don't like to stay in the spirit world and like to come back down to earth in other lives. So when you guys are giving readings, are you able to tell that, like, if they have come back to earth, or does that ever come up in your readings?
Yeah, so we call it, as everyone I'm sure knows, reincarnation. I try not to push that in a reading, because I don't know what that person's specific religious feelings are, but spirit many times has indicated that they will make the choice, if they want to come back on earth to perhaps relive some karma or learn some lessons that they didn't get in this life. However, the reincarnation is very rarely ever within the same lifespans of their loved ones. So you may have a grandmother that's crossed over, and it may take her several generations to decide to come back. It's not common for, let's say, a grandmother to reincarnate and suddenly become the new great-grandchild that was born. They tend, when they're reincarnating, waiting several generations to pass, and then they'll come back down.
Okay.
But that's a great question.
That's
a great one.
That's a great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have any more questions? You're welcome to, you're welcome to pose more questions if you have anything.
Oh, no, I didn't come prepared enough for any others. So thank you, guys.
Well,
thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you, Chelsea.
All right. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. And you know what? That's actually a great topic of conversation, this whole reincarnation thing, because it was in the Bible for a while, and then they took it out at the Council in Nicaea because they wanted the people to say, "Hey, you only got one chance," and just like
right.
That's just what I've read.
It was control. It was a mechanism of control. Yeah. Right. Like, do right in this lifetime because this is the only shot that you have.
And something, I'm a true believer in God and all of that, that there is a higher creator. It's not this image of an old man that's in the sky or whatever. It's an entity that created everything. I mean, there's logic to it. There's everything, it's so there has to be a creator. And I truly believe there is one. And I think, and I read once and it kind of resonated with me that there's God is in each one of us as different consciousnesses, if that is a proper word. And that's how God is like like he's an omni person, like knows everything, all knowing, all everything is through our collective consciousness. We're all part of that. And so if somebody like reincarnates, there's just so many choices of not only Earth, but maybe different worlds that they can incarnate into and that we don't even know about, that are completely separate and outside of our outer space galaxy system. And we're in one system. There could be endless other systems. Who knows? We don't have the science to even look at that yet.
Absolutely. And that's why people say, well, how is it possible that spirit will come back again on to Earth? Well, they may decide not to. There are other dimensions, other galaxies, other planets. They may decide to go to a different dimension. Sometimes in readings, I remember specifically this one client that suffered from excruciating migraines, and it didn't matter what medication or natural healing that they did. And the person's grandmother was giving me the information about a different dimension that particular soul was reincarnating from into Earth. And that person, since very young, could not handle the heaviness of the vibration of Earth and has been suffering from these migraines that doctors were not able to adjust. And I could see the relief in the person's eyes about, well, then that makes so much sense because everything around me does feel very heavy. And that came through a reading. That came through the person's grandmother, that they were saying, we may not be able to fix this for you in this lifetime, but this is what's going on. You were from another dimension that had a much higher vibration. Yes. And now you're on Earth, which has got a much lower vibration, and you just can't handle the density of the vibration that's here.
Right. Wow. How long ago was this reading, by the way? I'm curious because recently they've come out, you see it on TV, all of these medicines for migraines, but they all came out within the last 5 years. So I don't know if this person's still suffering. I hope not, but I'm just wondering.
I would say this was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm hoping that the person is not suffering, but there are reasons why we feel certain way in this life. And we've all, seen children who are born into this world, and they truly are of the light. There's a lightness around them. There's a happiness and a joy to them. They too have come from a different dimension, and now they're exhibiting personality traits from a different dimension where things were much lighter and brighter. And even though they're here on Earth and that vibration is much heavier, they still act in that very light manner.
Wow. Speaking about children, one of the most painful things is when, children die, because of the, they're not supposed to die. They're supposed to outlive their parents, right? So let's say a child dies accidentally, but if the accident was prevented, would they have crossed over soon afterward in another way? Is it set kind of what your, what your time on Earth is, kind of predetermined in a way?
Yeah. So being a parent that lost a child through illness, not from an accident or anything tragic.
I'm also a parent that lost a child.
Yes. I'm very well aware of that. And the pain of that loss is just incomprehensible. And it shouldn't be. But what I've been shown, because I can only speak from what I've been shown by spirit, is that particular soul in that accident chose to lead life that way. So that means if it had happened that month or perhaps 6 months after, either way that soul was going to be leaving this earth. And that's hard. That's hard
to accept.
For a parent. It's hard to accept. You're right, especially a parent who's hearing that. But you have to understand that these are small little beings called children, but their soul and your soul and a 90-year-old person's soul is all the same. It's the same maturity. So here we have an old soul, let's say, perhaps in a tiny little body, and we say how unfair it is that that little child had to pass early. Well, that was the choice of that particular soul to help the lessons and the karma of the ones that they left behind here on earth, because we are all co-creating what our lessons are. We all show up together, our wife, our brother, mother, sister. We're all showing up to help one another learn lessons. And when a child is leaving this earth, which does not make sense and should not be, in reality, that child was sacrificing themselves in this lifetime to help bring learning and unity and love to those that have remained still here on earth. So it actually is, it turns out, as horrible as it is for us who've remained here to be without our loved ones, it turns out that it's a much beautiful story that that spirit is giving. Like, I sacrificed myself so that you could learn what true love and compassion is, how you could learn to express joy every single day and to appreciate it. And when spirit explains it that way, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I'm getting a little choked up here, but yeah, that's beautiful what you just said. Very, very
like
beautiful.
I just want to share, having lost our 27-year-old son to leukemia, the gifts. I was so mad. I was so mad at God. I was so mad after he passed. I was like, how could you do this? Why would you have him suffer for what? And just to end up passing anyway, it just doesn't make sense. But the gifts that came out of his passing are incredible. And they would have never happened had he still been here on earth. So on one hand, I'm upset and miss him and want him back. And on the other hand, I see how his name lives on to be able to help others who are suffering here. That would have never happened if he stayed.
Yeah, that's, I concur 100%. I know it has changed me as a person for sure. Because before that event, I was not spiritual at all. I mean, I did go to church. I'm a Catholic and all that, but it was just more of a, more on a social level. But yeah, after that, I really dove into reading a lot of books about this and seeing mediums and getting together with becoming part of the Forever Family Foundation, helping them out. So, and you know what, helping other people help me. That's what I found out. It makes you feel better to help other people that are either in that predicament or, have questions about, what's coming after we die, So I'm not saying I'm any kind of expert or anything like that, but just helping people, not even spiritually, just helping, giving of yourself, I think is one of the best forms of catharsis that you can have.
Right. And remember, as humans, we are supposed to be here to help one another grow. And God chose you to learn this lesson through the loss of your child. And look at the people that you've met and the learning that you've done and the opening up of your own soul that probably would have not happened had your child still remained here. So there's a much bigger picture why people, whether they're a brother or sister or a child, there's a much bigger picture in the whole scheme of the universe why this is happening. And that is not to make light of someone's loss or pain. Absolutely not.
No, of course not.
Still, in the human world, children are not supposed to leave before their parents. And I don't care how beautiful the story is on the other side and what that soul sacrificed. From the human perspective, it is wrong.
It is
However,
wrong. And I would rather it have not happened, if you ask me.
And neither would I. But then you have to see it from the spirit's perspective of it came here to do a job. And it did its job. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty profound. Definitely profound. And I agree with you. I agree with you. But as a human, it's still hard. It's
so hard.
Yep.
So hard.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
And you know, we all go through those stages of grief, and the anger part really gets people. That anger part of how dare God take this soul from me? It's not God taking the soul. It's that the soul chose to do its job. And when we are learning and we are helping others and we are opening and expanding our soul consciousness, then the soul on the other side can say, I did my job.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Still want my son back, though.
I know. I do too. I want my son back too.
Yeah. Hey, so listen, before I get all choked up again, let's kind of switch topics a little bit. So you wrote Whispers of Love. Are you doing anything else? Publishing any new works? Anything on the way?
Not right now. The reason that book even came to fruition is after my son passed, he would come to me in dreams and he would say, write the book. And I'm not a writer. I don't know anyone in publication or editing. I don't know anyone. And I kept thinking, what does he want me to write a book on? I have nothing to write about. There's nothing special that I've experienced in my life other than the mediumship. And he kept saying, write it. And when I finally said, you know what, I'm so done with this. I was blow drying my hair, getting ready for a client. And I heard again, write the book. And I got really upset. And I said, enough. I don't have any connections. I don't know where to stop. You have to bring it to me. And I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I remember going to that client, and I guess I had read her before. And I said, how are you? Many years before. And she said, oh, by the way, she said, I finally met that publisher that you told me I would meet. And I just stared at her with the biggest deer eyes. And I went, what did you just say? Because you told me, you described the publisher I would meet, and I did meet her, and I wrote my book. And I thought, this is nuts.
Wow.
So I made the connection. Spirit helped me make the connection. The book was written, and now the book is helping people understand the process of death and what happens to their loved ones on the other side, and how that person can connect with spirit on their own. So yes, I say the same thing. I want my son back, but if it wasn't for him giving me those messages, I would have never been able to write this book to be able to help other people grow. And spiritually, I'm here to help people grow in whatever manner that is for them in that moment. So I don't have any other projects because I think my son Anthony brought to fruition the book that was supposed to be birthed that could not have been birthed on its own.
Wow. That's great. You're telling me that you just said about dreams. He was coming in your dreams and stuff like that. When my son crossed over, I think I had a couple of dreams with him, but that was many, many years ago, 13, 14 years ago. Is there a way that or a technique that you might recommend to our listeners and to me of, increasing the chances that your departed loved ones show up in a dream and you can have a conversation with them and see them, maybe even hug them?
Yes. So remember, energy is always moving and it's always changing. And what I mean by that is if we are stuck on earth longing for our loved one, wishing that they were here, a heavy heart around the fact that they're not, energetically, we are distancing ourselves from our loved ones even more. If we go to sleep with the most light heart possible, the most joyous memories, maybe something funny that individual did that still makes you laugh, and we go to bed with the light heart, now we're changing our energy into lightness. And when we do that, our vibration raises, and that makes it easier for loved ones to come through. In the very beginning, when a soul crosses over, when they're coming through in dreams, which, by the way, for everyone, those are absolute visitations. If you can remember a dream from 5 years ago, that was a visitation. they come to us to kind of give us that knowledge that they're okay. They're showing up in dreams. They're usually smiling or they're very happy. They may not be talking, but they may be smiling. And they're letting us know I arrived and I'm okay. But energetically, because we are all part of the collective consciousness, we are still connected to spirit on the other side, even though we don't see them physically. So that means when we go to sleep, we also want to be in the best possible light energy so that we make it easier for spirit to connect with us.
That makes a lot of sense because, usually before I go to bed, I watch political news, either on MSNBC or Fox just to see what both sides are talking about. And it's all BS. I mean, it's a lot of it is garbage and it weighs down your soul. So yeah, I shouldn't watch TV before going to bed.
Yeah,
or if I do watch some comedy or something.
Yeah, it's something that brings you light and laughter. And then when you go to sleep, imagine your loved one, in your mind's eye, say goodnight to them, give them a big hug, and just remember something funny or a beautiful memory that just brings lightness to you. That makes it easier for that spirit to now vibrationally connect with you.
Wow. That's a good idea. I will try that. And maybe
Good.
the next time, try to remember to ask me the next time you're on the show, how did it go?
I will. I absolutely will.
Nice,
that's funny.
Nice. Does anything from the afterlife scare you, Gina?
No.
Okay.
Nothing. There is nothing there to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
What worries me, the only thing that worries me is spirit showing sadness over the way that we are handling their passing because they see us. And sometimes they may want to do something really funny, like, maybe make something move in the house or a picture. You're talking about your loved one and a picture falls from off the wall but doesn't break. That's them trying to let you know, hey, I'm here. And they're trying to be a little funny. They're trying to get your attention. Mm-hmm. And then we turn to crying because we know that that was a sign from our loved one. And we immediately go to, I miss them. And then we start to cry. That's the part that saddens them because they can't do anything to fix it. Here, we can't fix someone else's unhappiness, but at least we can wrap our arms around them, or we can say, I understand, or I'm here for you. Spirit can't do that because we don't communicate with them anymore the same way. So it makes them so sad because they see our sadness and our crying, and they're absolutely not able to do anything. And that's what worries me is, how will I be able to handle that when I see that? When I'm crossed over and my children are missing me or my grandchildren are missing me, how will I be able to handle that? That's the only thing that worries me.
That's pretty intense. I mean, that's it. I never even thought about that, tell you the truth. So thank you for planting that thought in my head, because when I do get signs, I more often than not, I'll start crying.
Right. Yep. And spirit in a reading, well, I can't really talk about other mediums because I don't know what their readings are like. But for me, because I'm a like to joke around kind of person, they love to bring up funny stuff, funny things that happened when they were alive, or something funny that maybe happened at their wake that everyone was like, is this a sign from them? Like my uncle, when he crossed, and in the church, they open up the one part of the coffin, and they could not get it open. And my uncle was a jokester, and everybody was surrounding the coffin, and they couldn't open it. And they were there for maybe 15 minutes, and they couldn't figure out why they couldn't open it. And I could see my uncle laughing hysterically in that moment, like, I'm trying to make you all laugh. I want you to know that I'm okay. But what did we do? We laughed, and then 2 seconds later, we started crying.
Yep. That's pretty much how humans react.
Right. Exactly.
What would kind of be cool, and this thought just occurred to me when you said that. I don't know what other mediums do or whatever. I wonder if a medium has ever gone to see another medium.
Everybody does. Everybody does. And I'm going to tell you why. As a medium, we connect with all souls on the other side during a reading. We also connect with our own loved ones. The ego part of the human experience says, you're not connecting with your loved one. You're making it up in your head. Right. So a medium goes to another medium to get the validation that they already know. So we act just like all the clients do. I want validation that what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing really is my loved one, that they're still with me. So when we're thinking of our loved one, we're like, well, am I making that up? Even though we tell our clients, when your loved one is coming to you in your brain, they are communicating with you. That is just as much a visitation as a dream is. That's them speaking to you. But as humans, we negate that or we poo-poo it like that can't be true. Well, as mediums, the ego makes us feel you're not connecting with your loved one. You're making that up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got another caller.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Paula from Sweet Home, Alabama on line 1. Paula, welcome to the show.
Paula.
Are you there, Paula? We can't hear you. Yeah, hi. How are you?
I don't know if I called through the right number.
You're on the Signs of Life medium show. So is that the number you're trying to call?
Okay. Yes, it is.
Okay, great. You got a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, should I ask now?
Go ahead. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask about, I've had some, I don't know what to call them. I guess I would call them spiritual experiences, especially in the last 2 nights, woken up in the middle of the night or early hours of the morning, feeling sensations and things. And I've been just reading a lot about things, mediumship and all these things, but I have to say that I cannot shake this really deep-seated fear that I grew up with in a Christian family. And my son passed away earlier this year, and I want to know if maybe, thank you. Thanks so much. It was very, very traumatic. And basically I'm really struggling with trying to get out of what I was, taught, and not be afraid. And I just heard that answer about, are you afraid of anything? And I was like, oh my gosh, this show must be for me, because every question so far tonight has been exactly things I was interested in.
Wow.
But I was taught about like demons and things like this. And I've seen these, I tried not to watch, but
Hollywood.
Ever since I was
Hollywood.
Hollywood. I just can't, I'm just having a hard time not feeling creeped out or not feeling scared. I'm almost equal parts curious and, wanting to experience these things that I've been experiencing. And then I'm equal parts getting completely nauseous, feeling fear because I feel nauseous for some reason. Like after I felt someone or some energy or something on my cheek waking me up this morning. It was like a tingling, I don't know how to explain it. Like someone was rubbing my cheek, but with like, if you've ever had like physio with a TENS machine, it was kind of like that. And I woke up feeling that. And I just lied there. I didn't open my eyes. I was wide awake. I just lied there. Then I felt like a pillow kind of moving under my arm. And I felt like a heartbeat in my hand, just weird things happening. And I in my head, I telepathically said, if this is you, like my son, like, thank you for visiting. I'm trying very hard not to be scared right now because I'm asking to know that he's around. And then some weird things happen. And I don't know if it's confirmation. And then all of a sudden, all that fear creeps in. I get terrified that I'm doing something that is Gina. Not good.
Yeah. So, Paula, what I will tell you is, having grown up in a Christian faith, my parents thought that I was crazy from when I was a little girl, 6 years old, until the gift really popped out at 11. And never had the doubts of what I was feeling and seeing and sensing. Even though I was being taught one thing in religious school, I felt and knew something completely different on the other side. So it's almost like I had to regurgitate what I was being taught, because that was what was required in order to complete the sacraments. But on the other side, I actually knew what Spirit and God and the angels were telling me. I will tell you that you are both excited and creeped out at the same time. And I totally get it. It's the deprogramming. It's the deprogramming that's going to take some time for you to kind of be like, well, is it possible that maybe religion didn't really get it right? Because it's always possible. It can even be probable. Mm-hmm. But when you talked about that little sensation on your cheek, I immediately felt your son. Immediately, because you are asking for signs. And now that you're open to it, he's saying, okay, my mom's ready. Let's go. And he's going to be giving you a lot of signs that will take your breath away. But then at the same time, there's the fear of, am I doing something demonic? And that's just part of the deprogramming.
And also, like, how do I know who it is? Like, because I've been saying, now that I've learned about angels being around us, I've learned a bit about spirit guides. For me now, it's really hard to know if something happens, especially at night, waking me up and feeling a sensation. How do I know if it's an angel? How do I know if it's my son? How do I know if it's my grandmother? Like, I think there's more fear because I don't exactly know what I'm experiencing or who is giving me the experience. So I think that adds to the fear, just because I can't be sure of where it's coming from.
There's what Roman and I were talking about, where's the science that proves that it's my son, or the science that proves that it's my grandmother? What I will tell you is, we are each individuals on this human plane. You and I cannot be the same person. When we cross over, there's a collective consciousness. So it's not a case of, is it my son? Your father-in-law is also on the other side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm also hearing the father-in-law now stepping forward. So it's kind of like, is it my son? Is it my grandmother? Is it my father-in-law? It's everyone together saying, we're helping you expand your consciousness, so that we're not horse blinders on, it has to be my son, it has to be my grandmother. The other thing too that you can do, that I love playing with spirit all the time. To me, it's like, let's make this fun rather than scary. If I feel something, a touch on the cheek, or the hair being pulled on the very top of my head, I will say, show me a very significant sign of who it is. So let's say for your son, just as an example, you could say to him, okay, show me a blue balloon. If you see a blue balloon within the next day, you know it's your son. If you say to your grandmother, show me a sunflower. And I'm just coming up with what's just coming to the top of my head. Spirit will show you. Yeah. Suddenly you may turn on the TV and there's a picture of a vase of sunflowers. That's not a coincidence. That's your grandmother saying that was me. Or you may suddenly go into a restaurant and it's someone's birthday and there's all these blue balloons everywhere. That would be your son. So have that communication with them and say, I need a little bit more knowledge about who it is. Mm-hmm. I know you guys don't care, but I care. I want to know who it is. But that little touch that you received, it was almost like he was taking the back of his hand and he was just brushing it across your cheek to let you know, Mommy, I'm right here.
So it was your son, for sure.
It was amazing.
It was him.
Like it was. I had to keep my eyes closed though, because I had this sensation, like if I open my eyes and look for something, I'm going to break it. I'm going to stop it, like to the connection. So I just kept my eyes closed and tried to concentrate on the sensations. But yeah, I would say after about 5 minutes, feeling different sensations, that's when I started to feel more panicky. And that's when I actually said, in my head telepathically, I said, thank you so much. You know, if this is you, like, I love you, I miss you, thank you for this. But I think I've had enough right now, and I hope to see you again soon. But like for now, I've had enough. That way I avoided going into like a panic attack.
And but they know that, by the way. By the way, spirit knows how far they can go. They know they don't want to give you an experience that's going to chill the blood in your veins. They don't want to scare you. So they know how far they can go. But if now you're more open to more connection, I mean, what you felt is beautiful. I know people that have gone decades without feeling anything from their loved ones because there's this fear in them that I'm doing something wrong or something bad. You immediately went into that programming because that's what you're used to thinking. This is demonic. Spirit is letting you know. I just have to ask you, Paula, was there anything evil or demonic about what you felt during those sensations?
No, not during, but an hour after I started to feel really nauseous and I couldn't explain why, but I actually felt like I was getting the flu, and I thought maybe it wasn't a good experience. Maybe that experience made me sick, and it lasted for like a couple hours and then it just went away. And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have the flu. I don't know what happened, but it's things like that. That
would have never been spirit. Spirit would have never made you sick. Every connection that spirit gives us is one of love and tenderness. And that's exactly what you got. And I will tell you, once you start to connect with spirit in that way, it becomes very intoxicating. It's like, okay, let's do this again. Let's do this again. I want to feel you again. So keep those lines of communication open with your son and your grandmother and your father-in-law.
And Paula, to get rid of your fear, one of the best ways to get rid of the fear is by learning. Okay, there's so much you can learn about the afterlife. Victor Zamet, for example, has his Friday Afterlife reports. Check on the Forever Family Foundation. They got a plethora of resources and everything, books, links, videos. Like, there's so much that you can learn about the afterlife. And I think as you become more educated about it, your fear of it is going to just go away because you're going to say, this is complete nonsense. Shut up, you stupid ego. It has nothing to do with that. This is the fact, Right. So dive into that as well.
Oh my goodness. I can't, you have no idea how many times I've tried to get through to this show and it's never happened. That's why I freaked out when you answered, because I thought it was a mistake.
Well, we're so glad you called, because it's exactly the theme of the show and what we were talking about. So thank you so much for your call, Paula. Thank you so much. And God bless you. And I know how it feels. I'm there with you, sister. And we're both there with you. We both lost, our children. We all three of us.
That's why I did get through. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe that's why I did
everything happens. Everything happens for a reason. Everything. Okay. And this is just one more chip on you learning, like Roman said, a little bit more.
Okay.
And you'll find that you'll be able to accept it a lot better.
Thank you for the call, Paula.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye. So you know what? That was this. Our hour is over. Can you believe it?
That went so fast.
It went so fast. I'm getting, we have like less than 60 seconds left. So I'm just going to say, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and feel free to, visit Gina's website. What is it again? GinaSimoneMedium.com. www.GinaSimoneMedium.com. I'm sure you're booking for appointments and stuff like that. And she's a wonderful medium. And as you can tell, everything she said today is gold. So thank you so much, Gina.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can't wait to see you again.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.